Hi, this is Ed Sullivan and Marco Berti talking about the Sarbanes-Oxley law. Mark, Congress passed and the President signed the SOX bill in response to securities fraud. Although I'm wondering, does the bill just sort of limit itself to issues related to securities fraud, or is it broader?
Well, there's a split of authority on that, Ed. The ARB says no. SOX actually identifies a number of distinct areas of coverage, types of activity that's protected from retaliation. And they've said, for example, complaint of mail fraud. They've said, well, hey, if there's a complaint of mail fraud, it's reasonable, that's prohibited from being retaliated against, whether or not it has anything to do with securities fraud. On the other hand, a number of courts, and it's in our paper on this subject, have said no, whatever the issue is, whatever the protected complaint is, it has to relate specifically to securities fraud, because after all, that's why the law was passed. So otherwise, even if the company committed mail fraud or wire fraud, it's not covered. So there's a real big gulf there, and the difference is illustrated, for example, a case Funk versus Federal Express, where a FedEx driver was concerned that one of their customers at FedEx was committing mail fraud and using FedEx to do that. That had nothing to do with securities fraud at all. The company got upset when she went to the local sheriff and complained about this, and they said, whoa, you're not supposed to do that. FedEx is supposed to handle that. And they wrote her up and gave her a suspension. Well, she sued, went all the way up to the ARB, and the ARB said, you know what, it doesn't matter if it has anything to do with securities fraud by Federal Express or anyone else, but mail fraud itself is one of the covered protected activities, complaints of, under Sarbanes-Oxley. They retaliated against her for making that complaint of mail fraud, not even by FedEx, but by a customer, allegedly, and therefore that's prohibited by Sarbanes-Oxley. So there's a real split of authority on that right now, and if you have a case in this area, you really want to look at what's going on in your jurisdiction.